Have you ever worried that stress is getting the best of you? Maybe even cutting your life short? Well, I've got some great tips to share today. If you're alive in the world today, you're already pretty aware about what stress is, right? According to one survey, 44% of people report feeling more stress than they did 5 years ago, with 1 in 5 experiencing what they call extreme stress. So the consequences of that are real, starting with the basic health of our bodies. Stress negatively affects most of the organs in the human body, with ongoing chronic stress estimated to be a primary cause of up to 60% of human disease, with between 70 and 90% of doctors' visits linked to stress-related problems. And according to the American Psychological Association, stress is also closely linked to 6 of the leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and suicide. While the impact of stress on conditions like heart disease and stroke is well known, there's less attention to how this influences our ability to learn, grow, and stay emotionally well. So let's talk about it. In getting a handle on the role of stress in our emotional well-being, there are at least 2 key conversations worth having. First, how much actual stress do we have in our lives? And second, how do we respond to that stress? There seems to be a never-ending assortment of things that can cause us stress, as explored in tens of thousands of studies over the last couple of decades. Work stress, school stress, health stress, and relationship stress are some of the most common sources according to some surveys. Then there are larger worries about political and economic struggles and a pace of life that seems to speed up even more each passing year. As Megan Cowan, an expert in helping people slow down their lives, has said, quote, "At no other time in history have we been so busy all the time and in go mode all the time. It's what we are surrounded by, and there's something literally insane about it," close quote. Okay, honest question. When was the last time you ate a meal slow enough that you could actually taste it, or cleared your schedule to spend time with someone you love, or found time to get out in nature, or went on a walk alone, or anything like that? Is it a problem that questions like that are hard for most of us to answer? Stress expert Susan Greenland has said, "If I were to say the thing that I see that is the most worrisome is just how exhausted everybody is. Everybody is just stretched to the max. And when you're so stretched, it's easy to break down emotionally." Dr. Stephen Alardi likewise argues that the 20-fold increase in depression over the past century is proof that humans were never designed for the pace of modern life. Even the brain itself, which is so beautifully designed to deal with moments of acute stress, can be pushed into a depressive or anxious state when flooded with too much of the stress hormone cortisol over a long period of time. The whole body can also get stuck in a state of high alert, overestimating threats and becoming hypersensitive to things that aren't really dangers around us. As the wise leader Seneca once said, "There are more things that frighten us than injure us, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." In part because we take all these threats as real, the effects of constant stress on the body and mind end up looking a lot like symptoms of depression and anxiety, including migraines, sweating, trembling, nausea, stomach aches, muscle tension, hyperventilating, and sluggishness. So to encourage people to rethink their level of stress and pace of life, creating public health campaigns have sprung up, including a slow movement, encouraging people to slow down eating and slow down and enjoy relationship time, and a movement against overscheduling children. Doing less, of course, isn't always the key to less stress, for sure. Sometimes stress can arise from not doing the things that matter most, whether that's distracting ourselves from a difficult work responsibility or neglecting someone in our family. Reducing stress, in that case, is about doing more and taking on what you need to take on. Sometimes making that phone call or finishing that task you've been putting off can help more than lying in a hammock, for example, right? Of course, we all know that downtime, where we rest and rejuvenate or just have some fun, can be hugely important in hard times too. If you know anybody that owns a bow and arrow, they'll tell you that if you keep a bow strung all the time, it will lose its spring. So human beings are not that different. So look for ways to depressurize your life when you can and bring priority attention to to what matters most, both of which can further decrease your vulnerability to any temporary or ongoing emotional struggles. Now, you might be thinking, okay, all right, I'll do what I can to decrease stress. But what do I do with the stress that doesn't go away? Well, thankfully, it's not necessary to eradicate stress entirely to be well. One of the world's leading stress researchers, Hans Selye, taught it's not stress that hurts us, it's our reaction to it. So have you ever been stressed out about your stress? That's what happens when we get so caught up, carried away, and fixated by moments of stress that we lose a sense of proportionality and realistic context. This may even lead to a full-on panic attack. By comparison, have you ever met someone who is calm, even when faced with all sorts of problems or worries, and thought to yourself, why can't I be like that? You may not need to become a full-on Zen master to learn how to face significant stress in your own life in a way that doesn't consume you. There are some simple practices you can learn to help you step back and watch a heightened emotional state arise, grow, and eventually pass away. Think about one of the more stressful situations in your life recently, or even right now. This very moment, imagine yourself in that situation, stepping back, taking a breath, and getting some emotional space. Just enough to not take it so personally. Just enough to calmly observe what's happening. In that place, maybe ask yourself, what's really going on here? Instead of trying to make stressful thoughts or feelings go away, see what it's like to just make space for them, letting yourself face whatever is challenging in that moment from a more composed and grounded place. One man described a moment in his life where everything was crashing in around him. Not able to sleep, he got up and went on a walk in the calm of the night. Looking up at the stars and the mountains was just enough to help him feel connected and grounded again, just in awe of the beauty he saw around him. Looking back, he said that he was surprised at how small and insignificant these fears and worries now seem in retrospect. As John Lubbock once wrote, "Rest is not idleness, and to lie sometimes on the grass under trees on a summer's day, listening to the murmur of the water and watching the clouds float across the sky is by no means a waste of time." I love that. Now, research is showing how good stopping like this is for our ability to go and grow when we need to. Another individual who found powerful healing from serious stress spoke of this as key to his own healing, namely shifting from too much doing, acquiring, and accumulating to a calmer, more present state of being. That shift, as he put it, played a huge role in cooling off that overstimulated nervous system. That kind of thing can happen for you too. I realize you may be feeling stress that feels overwhelming right now. Life in this modern, changing world itself can multiply stress for any of us, especially in the new health and economic challenges arising for us all. But be gentle with yourself and stay open. There are so many reasons to be hopeful. There really are. So let's talk about a few key stress busters that others have found to be helpful. First, talk about it. Often the best way to handle a stressful situation is to openly explore it with someone you trust. Talking can help us see a situation for what it really is and isn't. And number two, lighten things up. Did you know that there are scientific explanations for why laughter can bring relief in hard situations? Get this, laughter increases the oxygen supply to our lungs and our brain, and it stimulates more endorphins. That's the hormones that make us feel great. So in other words, look for excuses to smile and laugh. Number three, exercise. Finding more ways to move around, especially outside, is a great way to shift what's happening in the body and release more endorphins while we're at it. Exercise teaches our brain that our behavior matters. Plus, medical research confirms that regular exercise can actually decrease stress and anxiety by as much as 20%. All right, number four, stop going to war with your stress. My final suggestion might be the most revolutionary. As easy as it is for all of us to treat stress as an enemy, fight and conquer, that sort of mindset can end up generating, well, a lot more stress. So Dr. Kelly McGonigal describes working for years to help people reduce stress before realizing ways this might be compounding the problem. So she tried something else instead, helping people embrace the fact that stress is an inescapable part of life. and not necessarily something to fear or fight. The results in her patients were remarkable. As they embraced the reality of stress, guess what happened? Their stress levels decreased. With all of this, it can take courage to approach stress in a new way, reducing it, responding to it differently, or even embracing it with fresh eyes. So go for it. Take a good hard look at anything on your plate causing unnecessary stress. Take a deep breath and consider big or even small adjustments that might bring even a little more balance to your life. When the hard moments still end up hitting, hold on and weather through it, remembering that stress comes and goes, and it will keep changing if we let it.
For more information, visit the Panhandle Public Health District website at pphd.org.